What's up, you data friends? It's Yanis here and welcome to my channel. Now please note that this video is actually video part 2 of the SQL tutorial for data analyst and data scientist. This is a beginner's tutorial. So in the first video, we have explained how to download and install the SQL Server and SSMS, so SQL Server Management Studio, and also how to create a database. Then we went over some shortcut keys to know that are very helpful when writing code. Then we've touched on data types. We've explained how to load the raw data, both manually and programmatically, so actually typing down code. Then we have explained the select query, how to filter and how to use conditions. And we've also explained the subqueries, so how to write subqueries. In this video, we are going to cover the if and case statements in SQL. We are going to cover the rename, updates, replace, insert into, delete, and create new columns in tables in SQL. Then we are going to go over the aggregated functions in SQL, so how to sum, average, mean, max, and count. And at the end, we are going to explain how joins work. So the left join, the inner join, the full join, the cross join, and the union. And at the end, I think I'm also going to show you how to create a view in order to summarize your data, which is this one over here. And before we jump into this video, if you're passionate about data analytics and data science, then please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Right, starting exactly from where we left it in the last video, I'm going to have the link in the video description. It's step 4, which is the if statements and also the case statements. So let's say that we want to write an if statement that says if the country is England, then add a -UK at the end of the string. To do this, we will need to select everything from our table. So let me copy something. I'm going to copy this from the top. Then I'm going to paste it down here. So down here where we have country, we want to say if, let me remove this, if country, so we open brackets, we say country equals, then we say here England, comma, we want to change this. So this is the value if true. We want to have England -UK, and if not, which is a comma, so this is the value if the condition is not true. We want to leave country as is, close brackets, and then say as country, because we want to keep the same column name. So if I select this now, actually we have a comma there, I need to remove this comma and then select this. So you can see here, before we had England, so if I run it without this, so if I run this bit, you can see that here we have England without the -UK, but now we have created this if statement that says if the country equals England, so if we have England there, comma, replace it with the England -UK, which is what we've done. Otherwise, leave the country as is. So because Scotland, so the first line is not England in the text, we don't have the -UK. Right, the next thing we want to add now is to repeat the same process, but for all UK countries. To do this, I'm going to copy this and paste it down here. And we want to say if country, now instead of equals, because we're going to have a lot of countries, so 4 countries, we need to use in and not equals. So I need to say in, then I need to open brackets, and here I need to add the 4 countries. So I'm just going to copy them quickly because it's faster. Copy, paste. So here we are saying if, let's make this visual, if country in England, so here Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland, then replace it with, so this is not going to work now, England -UK, because we want to have Scotland, UK, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So what we have to do is that we need to remove this, copy the country, and then say plus, press plus, and then open quotes, and within quotes, we want to have space, dash, UK in capital. Otherwise, country. So what this is going to do is that it's going to select the string as is, Scotland, and it's going to add this at the end, assuming this condition is correct. So if country in these countries, comma, if it's true, then add the dash UK. If not, leave country as is. So if I run this now, you can see that for all the UK countries, we've added the dash UK, and for everything else, if I scroll down here, you can see we don't have the dash UK. Now, in the case we cannot programmatically do this, so for example, we have a lot of different values we want to map. So if A equals this, then use that. If B equals this, then use that, a different value. Then we can use case statements, which work very similarly with if statements. However, we can only use 9 or 10 if statements, but we can use as many case statements as we want. So let's repeat this. So we're going to do exactly the same example, the first one, but this time, instead of using if, we're going to use case. So I'm going to take this down, and then here I'm going to say case, enter. Then we need to say when country equals England. So I'm going to copy this and paste it, equals England. Then I want to rename it into England UK. Otherwise, sorry, I need to put this, then I need to remove all of this. Otherwise, we can say else, use country. So as we have country, and at the end, we say and as, and then the name of the field. So this is very similar with the if statement. So case when country equals UK, then use England, else use the country, and this as country. We need another comma because we have the neutral there. And then if we run this, it's going to do exactly the same thing as we've done up here, but now we have a case statement. And the nice thing with case statements, we can keep adding case statements down here. So if we repeat this example now, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it. I also need to change this. Then here we can copy this and paste it 4 times because we have 4 countries, just to show you how it can be done like this. Here we can say when country equals Scotland, then Scotland UK, then we also have Wales, and then Wales UK, and then Northern Ireland, so like this. And as country, so if I run this now, it did again exactly the same thing as our if statement up here, but instead of using if statements, we've done it with case statements. We can also do it the same way as we've done it up here with the plus and then the dash. So we can actually say case when, I'm gonna copy this because it's easy. So we can also do when, then country in, then we have in here we need then, country plus, correct, that's correct. And then we have else country, so we can also do it this way. So I'm commenting this out so you can see that this is going to work too. There you go, so you see it's the same way. However, the reason I've shown you this is because sometimes you cannot really do it programmatically like this. You need to use different values when mapping. So you need to write all these case statements in order to map your data. Right, moving on, the next thing we have is the renames, updates, replace, inserts, and deletes, and also new columns. So let's go back to our initial example. So this one, because this is kind of a rename. So if I put this here, so the idea is that here I am just renaming, as we've shown, England to England-UK. However, when I run the data again, so select all from this table, it's actually not renamed in the table. You see England. This is just renamed in this one query. So if I want to update the table itself, I will need to write an update statement. And to do this, I can simply do this. Update the name of our table, set country equals, and then what I did is that I have copied this, which is our country. I have pasted it down here, and this is actually going to update the table itself. So if I run it quickly, and then you can see we had 42,000 rows affected. If I select everything from our table again, you can see that it added the -UK now. So it's within the table. The table has been updated now. It's not just in our query. Right, the next thing we have is, again, it's similar to the previous example, but now instead of doing renaming, so if statement, we are actually going to do a replacement. So use the replace operator. So up until here is exactly the same query as before, but now I have added the comma and then I have used the replace. So replace works very similarly with if statements. However, replace is only for replacing. With if statements, you can also do more stuff like if it's more than this value, or if it's less, or if it's between. With replace, it's only renaming the value. So again, we say replace country. Again, this is our country. We want to replace Scotland, so this Scotland, with Scotland UK. So if I run this quickly, you can see that I have also named it as country 2, so I have created a new column. If you give a new name in as, it creates a new column. So you can see Scotland UK comes up in country 2, but Scotland is still as Scotland in this country. Now we need to repeat the same update process as before in order to update the table itself, not just this query. So we say update our table, set country, so very similar with this one, equals, and then I have my replace over here. Right, the next thing we have is the insert into. So let's say we want to add a new row into our table, which is something you won't do often as a data analyst or a data scientist. Usually we work with Excel and CSV files from the business. We don't manually fill the tables in the database. But in case you want to do this, it's very easy. You can just type in insert into our table and then select. And for each column, you need to have a value. So I have a date for the first column, England for the second column, Wales for the third column, etc., etc. Please make sure that you use exactly the same data types. So if it's a number, if it's a date, or if it's a character, which is the nvarchar or varchar, and you also need to have exactly the same number of values as the number of columns. So if I add this in now, you can see there is one row affected, which means that we inserted this row into our dataset. And if we want to select it now, I have purposely added test in neutral, so we can very quickly select everything from our table where neutral is test. So there we go. You can see we have added this row. Now let's say you want to delete this row, which is our next example. Very easily you can type in delete from our table where neutral equals test. So this is going to delete any rows that have test under neutral. We only have one because this is the one we've just created. So if I run it now, one row affected. So we've deleted that row. And if I try to select it again, it's not going to be there. You can see it's not going to be there because we've deleted it. Now, if you want to delete a whole column, so for example, we want to completely drop neutral because we don't want to have, it's not adding any value, so we don't want to have this neutral. You can say alter table and the name of the table, drop column, the whole column, and then the name of the column. So if I run this now, you can see we have neutral. If I run it and then I select everything from my table, you can see we don't have neutral anymore. It's gone. We've deleted column. Moving on, the next thing we have is creating a new column called score. So I'm actually going to do this from scratch so I can show you. So the first thing I want to do is that I'm going to copy this example and paste it here, and I'm going to delete this country. I'm going to delete this too. I'm going to leave it as country, comma. So now I want to create a new column, and this column is going to have this score versus this score. Sorry, actually this score dash this score. So in one column, I want to have both the home score and the away score. So it's going to be something like 0-0. This one is going to be something like 4-2. To do this now, I need to take this home score, copy, paste, do plus the away score. Actually, I need to do plus, then I need to open this at the dash because I need home score, dash, and then I need to do plus again, and this is going to be the away score. And if I select this now, sorry, I need to add as, and I need to name this, and I'm going to say score. That's the name of the new column. So if I run this now, you can see that it completely skipped the dash, and it added these two numbers together. Same with this one, same with this one. So the reason it added them together is because these two columns are actually numbers, integers. So when I apply a calculation on them, the calculation is going to happen. So what I need to do is that I need to cast them as text in order to achieve what I want. So I can say cast, then I open brackets, home score as n varchar or varchar. I'm going to add 10 characters, and I'm going to close the brackets, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this one, and varchar, and then 10 characters, close brackets. And if I run this now, let's see, is this going to work? Sorry, I think we need an as. I think it's home as. I think I need this, cast as. Then if we run it, there we go. So cast home as n varchar 10 characters. I'm actually changing the type. The data type is going from integer into n varchar, so I can treat it as text now, and I can achieve this score, this new column I want to create. Now, in order to add this new column in the table itself, because if I select the table, that new column, it's not going to be there, what I need to do is that I need to type in alter table, this is my table, add score, which is going to be the new column, which is this new column we want to add, and then set that score to varchar 10 characters, so the data type of this new column. So if I run this, it created a new column, however it's empty. So if I run this, we can see that the new column is actually empty. And now I need to actually fill in this new column. So what I need to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it. I need to update football data 2020, which is our table. I need to set score equals, and then I need to repeat this, exactly what I have over here. However, down here I have 3 characters because I don't think we're going to go over 1,000 goals. So this is going to work fine. So if I run this again, and now I select everything from our table, I'm actually going to copy this, paste it down here so it's easier. You can see that we have a new column in the table itself, not in the query, that has our score. Right, moving on, we're going to do the aggregated functions. So this is when we need to use sum, average, mean, max, or count, or any other calculations. The first example we have now is that we want to see the total home score goals for England. In order to do this now, we need to say select the home team, which is our home team, sum the home score because we need the home goals, and I'm going to name this as total home score, because now we are not actually going to have the home score by date. We are going to have the sum of all these dates where the home team equals England. And every time I have an aggregated function, I also need to add this group by home team. So group by, the columns you are going to put in here is any columns you have at the top. They also need to go at the bottom, so in the group by, excluding the aggregated ones. So I don't need to include anything that is pink, so these aggregated columns. So if I run this now, you can see that for the whole of the data set we have, England has a total of 1,161. And then another example, maybe you want to see this data by tournament. So how many home goals England scored by tournament. So the only thing we have to do here is add tournament over here. So if we can say tournament, comma, if I run this now, it's going to fail. And the error is that we are missing tournament from group by, the group by clause. So if I add comma here and then I add the tournament, we are going to see the total home goals scored by England in each of these tournaments. Right, the next example we have is the total home and away goals. The total home and away, because these are only the home goals. In order to do this now, we can also add another comma from the first query that we had and sum the away goals too as total away goals. Everything else stays the same, and if we run this, you can see that England has scored 1,161 home goals and 449 away goals. Right, moving on, the next thing we have is that we want to see the total home score and away for England combined and number of games. So now we want to add these two numbers together so we can see the total of totals, let's say, and also we want to count the number of games. To do this now, I'm copying and pasting this one from above. So up until here is the same. I say comma, then I sum the home score. So I repeat the same process as here, but instead of naming this, I say plus, and then I also sum the away goals, and I name this as total goals in game. So if we exclude this for now, so you can see what this does. If I run this, you can see we have the home, away, and this column is adding these two together. And the next thing we have is that we also want to see how many games did England play. So I can count the home team. I can actually count any column because each row is actually a game. So any column I count is going to be the number of games. And I've chosen the home team as number of games. So what this count is going to do is that if I run this quickly, so I can show you, we have 503 games for England, and those 503 games are actually these games. So select all from this table where home team is England. So if I run this, you can see we have 503. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually down here. 503 as number of rows. And what this count does, it counts the home team. So it counts all of these rows. How many do we have? We have 503, which is what we get when we run this over here. 503 as number of games. Right, moving on, the next thing we want to do is to calculate the number of goals per game. So we need to divide the total goals divided by the number of games. So I'm going to copy this one above, and we're going to start this calculation down here. So the calculation is going to be the sum of these two. So I'm going to copy them. So I'm going to put them in brackets because this sum of these two is going to give us the total goals in game. So total goals in game divided by the count of home team, so the number of games, and I'm going to name this as goals per game. So I'm going to copy and paste this. If we run this quickly, let's see what we're going to get. So you can see we got 3. It's not very useful because we want to see the decimal places. So is it 3 point something or is it on the high 2s, so 2 point something? To do this, we're going to need to cast the home score from integer, which is a whole number, as float. So I'm going to add here, cast home score as float, close brackets. I'm going to do the same here, cast away score as float, I'm going to close brackets. The count is fine, so let's see if this fixes things. There we go, so it's actually 3.2 and then loads of numbers. And at the same time, I want to round all these into 2 decimal places. So I can say round, comma, 2, and then close brackets. And if I run this now, we have for England, on average, 3.2 goals per game. If we remove England, let's see, we remove this and we run this, we can see for all countries how many goals they have on average per game. And if we want to order these, we can actually do order by, and then we're going to need all this calculation because this is the number we are ordering by. And then if we run this, it starts from the smallest, and if we do this, which stands for descending, if we run this now, we can see that on average, the highest scoring country per game is these countries over here, which I don't know them. It's probably one of game. There we go. It's probably one. They played once, 4 times 1, so it actually skews. They don't have many games, so their average is quite high. Right. The next thing we have now, it's the average home goals per tournament. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this, and in order to achieve this now, I'm going to select, we need to select, sorry, I'm not typing, I might type somewhere else. There we go. So we need to say select tournament. Then we need to AVG for average home goals. So we need the home score as, what is this? The average goals per tournament from the name of our table. And then we need a group by, and then the name of the column we are grouping by. And if we run this, we need this to be for UK, no, all countries. So again, we only see one value, sorry, a whole number. We don't see the float, so we don't see with decimals, so we can order it. So what we can do is that we can cast the home score as float again. And then if we run this, now we need to round it. So round, comma 2. So 2 decimal places. And we also want to order it. So I'm also going to do order by this calculation, copy paste, descending. And then if we run this, we can see the tournament with the highest average goals per tournament. There we go. You can see it's this tournament, which I don't know. Yeah, I don't know most of these tournaments. Right, moving on, we want to see the average home goals per home team. So very easy, we can copy this query from the top, paste it, and replace the tournament with the home team. So we can see which team, oh, how did I type it like that? So let's do home team. So we can easily see which team scores on average most of the goals. And this is going to be the average goal per home team. And then if we run this, we can see that these, again, I don't know these countries, but the reason they have such a high score is probably because they played a lot less games. So as a next step, I would suggest adding the number of games as example 7. So the way to do this, we can copy this, and then we can also here add comma, count. I think we've done it somewhere here. There we go. We can count the home team as number of games. We can delete the comma, and we can run this again. So now you can see that this team only played 2 games, 1 game. This team, sorry, I keep saying teams, it's actually countries. But once we go down to the countries that played most of the games, so you can see Brazil 500, Germany 500, and then all these teams that played a lot of games. The next function we want to show now is the min and the max. So these functions are actually very easy. So they work exactly the same way with sum or average, but in this case, we want to see the maximum home goals scored by home team. So we can say select home team max home score. So this is going to select the max value out of all the rows as max goals, and then group by home team, and then order by the max home score. So if we run this now, we can see that the country that scored most of the goals in a single game, so the max, is actually Australia, then Tahiti, then Fiji, then all of these other countries. And then we can repeat the same with the min, but because with this data, we cannot really select the mean home score, it's going to be 0, it's not going to give us any value. What I did is that I have used the other data set, so the countries data, and I wanted to select the top 10 countries with the minimum GDP per capita. So I said select top 10. So let's say we don't have top 10, so I can show it later on. I'm going to comment it out. We can say select country min GDP per capita. So let me select everything from this table, select all from, so you can see the data, because we forgot about it. We haven't used it in so long. So here we have the country and then the GDP per capita, which is this one. So I'm saying select country, comma, minimum GDP per capita, which is this one, from countries where the GDP per capita is not null. So I don't want any null values. Group the data by country and then order by the minimum GDP per capita. So if I run this, it starts from the minimum and it goes all the way to the maximum, which is Luxembourg. So the minimum is actually, well, it's the same for these 3 countries. And then if we do top 10, it's actually going to select the top 10 minimum GDP per capita countries. Right, I'm going to stop this tutorial here and finish the rest of this tutorial in the next video, which is the joins is the only thing that's left. We're going to go through the left join, inner join, full join, cross join, union, explain them, and then I'm going to show you the code in order to apply them. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and you've gained enough value out of this tutorial. If you feel like you did, then please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to see you in the next video.